So I kind of ran out of mental energy last night to do slides or anything, but just did want to say a few things. I arrived at the Berlin airport and met Jerry and those guys, and we came out, and the guy who was helping arrange all the transportation said, "There's this big traffic jam. If you want, you can try the train." Okay, what the heck? I'm up. So I took the train to the hotel, so I think I got there before they left. And the same thing on the return, they were having a lot of traffic problems. And so K5ZD and I went down, took the train to Berlin, and had plenty of time to make our flight. So that's why public transit is much better in Europe. There's no reason to take your car if you don't have to. Okay, so the job of the judging committee, of course, was to certify the results. We also had the job that the referees were working for us. They were the on-site representatives of the judging committee. So as Doug mentioned, we spent some time helping educate them on the rules and the standards and what we wanted things to be. And then everybody headed off. So as a judge, I have nothing to do. So took a tour of Leipzig and walked around the city, talked to a few people who were left in the hotel. Friday afternoon, we went out and looked at some of the sites, and I can tell you it's very much like New England, where every place we went, every site looked the same. They all had the same antenna, they all had the same tent, they all had the same signs, and we met guys that were really camping out, having a great time for the weekend. So it just turned out to be just as fantastic experience for the Germans as it was for us. The weather was absolutely superb. We'd had a little bit of rain during the setup day, which brought down the fire danger, but the rest of the time was great, except at late at night when the guys were freezing to death who forgot to bring a coat. And then, so we toured some stations, and we came back and had dinner and slept in, and in the morning everybody got up, they're all excited. I still have nothing to do. I go on a tour of Wittenberg, and then I wait for 2 o'clock and watch the scoreboard. I've never actually watched a contest just on the scoreboard before, but it was pretty fun because you're trying to figure out what are people doing based on what you're seeing the scores do. And we saw the Lithuanians have these huge hours at the beginning because they were on 40. All the Americans weren't doing so well because they were on some other band. So with that evening, this picture that you see here, Nodir, EY8MM, was one of the judges, and he really wanted to go out and take some star pictures. And so this was one we went to a number of different sites, and at each one we would set up and take pictures of the night sky. But it was interesting to visit each of the stations. Again, even on the inside, they were very similar. Everybody had embraced SDR technology. The arms race Doug talked about was real. I usually tried to take an opportunity to sit and listen, and it was just amazing, especially on the low bands. It seemed like the guys would call CQ, and there would always be a German or 2 or 3 or 5 of them calling. So it's just kind of continuous running, which is how people were making 4,000 Qs with 2 stations and running 100 watts. So we stay up late, we come back, sleep in. Everybody comes back. It's great watching everybody come back. They're just stumbling in. Where do I give my thumb drive to? Where does the scoreboard computer go? And the Germans had a great thing set up. They, based on our experience here in Boston, we told them set up at the door of the hotel so you get people right when they walk in, because once they lay down, you'll never find them again. And so got all the stuff, took them through the process. We had to watch the World Cup match, so that kept us busy from like 4 to 6 or 5 to 7 or whatever it was. And then that's when my work actually started. So a group of us went off and started doing the log checking. So logs are coming in like crazy. We're using logging software that DL3DXX wrote just for the event. It had never been used in live fire before. So that was an interesting experience. And so they had quite a group of guys that were processing logs as they came in and getting them into the system. And it actually went pretty well considering. But there was a place about 2 or 3, actually, no, the sun had come up. So it was probably closer to 4:30 in the morning when I just looked at DXX and said, okay, you have all these problems, I'm going to bed, I'll be back in a while. And so we came back and we kind of regrouped around 9 and drove to finish the results by noon. So when you think about it, we processed 3,600 logs to make the results, and we did it from about 8 p.m. to noon the next day. And in the end, I feel like we got the right result. The scores were all checked. There was a comment mentioned earlier about the Lithuanian team. It did appear that they had worked more of their countrymen than some of the others, but they had such a huge such a huge advantage or a huge lead that it wasn't really felt that it was worth trying to pursue anymore. So I do feel like they legitimately won. When we visited the stations at night, we visited the Lithuanian team. We show up, we're in and out of their tent, we're taking flash photography. I asked those guys later, did you know we showed up? They did not know we were there. And you could tell we were there. They were totally locked in. Those guys, they were on a mission. They had come the year before to practice. They were back for the contest. So the team that won, really, they made it their mission to do that. The second team, the Germans, also did a fantastic job. And there was no appearance of cheerleading or anything in all the results where they did. So the Germans had done an excellent job of teaching their countrymen, don't just work the German team, work everybody. And so I think we ended up with a very fair and competition and good results. But I guess the last thing, being a judge, everybody comes back from the hotel, they take a nap, they watch the World Cup match, and then you could hear the noise level in the bar just going higher and higher. And meanwhile, we're sitting in here looking at logs and trying to figure out if a call is busted or not for the next 18 hours. So we miss all the fun stuff. But it was great to show up at the closing ceremonies, and you get to, they had a hall that had to have 500 seats in it or more, and probably I don't know, huge. And to be able to see just the enthusiasm as the winners were announced, and especially as the German team was announced as number 2, that really made the locals' day. And then we walked from there about 3 blocks from where the ceremonies were to where the eating and drinking place was, and that's when everybody really let loose. It was a lot of fun just to kind of meet everybody. And the weird thing about WRTC has a strange vibe. In the beginning, everybody's worried about the contest, and the contest happens. After it's over, there's this release, and then suddenly Tuesday morning, you're all heading for the airport as fast as you can. So it just kind of goes by, and if you didn't take pictures or look at pictures, you'd never remember what happened. And I did take a bunch of pictures, which I posted on Google Photos, so I will I'll put a link on I think I may have done it already, but I'll put the link on the WRTC reflector again, just so you can go take a look if you want. So with that, any questions? So we all ready to do it again in 2026? Doug's already said yes. No! Oh, maybe I misheard him somewhere.
Thanks, Doug.